Sophie was a young investigative journalist living in a big city where stories of crime and truth often lay buried in darkness. She always kept an eye on the activities of the Mafia, particularly a powerful crime lord named Vincenzo. He was notorious for his smuggling and money laundering operations, and the rumors surrounding him made anyone fearful. Sophie decided it was time to expose the truth about him and his gang. In the following weeks, Sophie spent hours in the library, searching for information, interviewing people who had ties to Vincenzo's gang, and gathering confidential documents. She realized that he was not just a criminal, he was a man with significant influence, possessing many connections in government and business. But Sophie was undeterred. She felt that this story was not only important for her career but also a mission to protect the innocent people that Vincenzo had harmed. One evening, while sitting in her office, her computer screen lit up with a new notification from a hidden source. "I have crucial information about Vincenzo. Meet me at the cafe near the park at 10 p.m., the message read. Sophie felt a thrill of excitement mixed with anxiety. Could this be a trap? But opportunities to obtain valuable information about a mafia boss didn't come often, and she couldn't miss it. Arriving at the cafe, Sophie scanned the room for her informant. She spotted a middle-aged man, dressed casually, sitting in the corner. He looked anxious, his hands tightly gripping a coffee cup. Sophie approached him, introduced herself, and took a seat. "You're Sophie, right?" the man asked, his voice trembling. "I have information about Vincenzo. He's planning a major smuggling operation." Intrigued, Sophie urged him to elaborate. He began to share valuable details he had obtained from one of Vincenzo's henchmen. But in the middle of the conversation, Sophie noticed that the man's eyes kept darting outside the cafe. She felt something was off. Suddenly, a group of men in black coats entered the cafe, scanning the room. Sophie's heart raced. "We need to leave now," she said to the man. But before they could stand, the men approached and blocked their exit. "Sorry, but you can't leave," one of them said, his tone cold. Sophie saw her companion's face go pale. "We have a message for you," he said, signaling to the others. In the next moment, Sophie was yanked from her seat and dragged outside. She struggled to break free but couldn't escape their grip. They shoved her into a black car and drove off. A million thoughts raced through her mind. Was this the price she had to pay for pursuing the truth? When she came to, Sophie found herself in a dark room, with only a dim light from a hanging lamp. She shifted, realizing she was tied up. Panicking, she began searching for a way to escape. The room appeared heavily secured, with no windows and only one door. After a while, the door swung open, and a man walked in. It was Vincenzo, exuding confidence and arrogance. "Welcome to the place where the truth doesn't exist," he said with a sinister smile. "I can't let you reveal what you know." Sophie stared him down, refusing to let fear take over. "I won't be silent. The truth will come out," she replied, her voice small but resolute. Vincenzo chuckled darkly. "You might think that, but you don't understand my power. I can make you disappear without anyone knowing." He turned and left the room, leaving Sophie in a state of panic but also determination. During her captivity, Sophie tried to memorize every detail about the room, the sounds from outside, and the conversations of the guards. She knew that the only way to survive was to remain mentally strong and look for an opportunity. Meanwhile, Alex, a former Special Forces operative, was investigating the kidnapping. He had received information from a hidden source about Sophie's abduction. With his skills and experience, Alex decided to take action. He followed the clues and eventually discovered the address of the villa where Sophie was being held. As Alex approached the villa, he noticed numerous guards. He had to tread carefully. Using his intelligence and combat skills, he managed to sneak inside without being detected. Once inside, he listened to conversations and realized where Sophie was. Finally, Alex found a door leading to the room where Sophie was imprisoned. He quietly opened the door and saw her sitting on the floor, her hands and feet tied. "Sophie," he whispered, and she looked up, her eyes filled with hope. "Alex. You came to save me," Sophie exclaimed, excited. Alex quickly cut the ropes binding her. "We have to go now." "There's not much time," he said, and together they made their way to escape. As they moved through the hallways, Sophie and Alex faced multiple henchmen of Vincenzo. Each time they had to fight, using every ability they had to survive. Sophie felt a surge of strength within her. She was not just a journalist, she was a resilient woman, ready to fight for her freedom. The chase intensified when Vincenzo discovered Sophie's disappearance. He ordered his men to search for her immediately. Alex and Sophie raced through the dark hallways, evading the henchmen looking for them. They could hear footsteps getting closer. When they neared the exit, another group of men appeared, blocking their escape. Alex had no choice but to fight. A fierce battle ensued, but with their combined strength and intelligence, they managed to defeat the henchmen and quickly ran outside. Once outside, they spotted a car parked nearby. Alex quickly unlocked the door, and they jumped inside. But Vincenzo was not about to give up easily. He pursued them in a heavy SUV, and the chase became frantic. Sophie gripped the steering wheel, while Alex navigated. "We have to go faster." "He won't stop," he shouted. They sped through deserted streets, but Vincenzo remained hot on their tail, firing shots at them. In a decisive moment, Sophie spotted a narrow road ahead. "Turn left," she shouted. Alex swerved, and they sped down the narrow path, where the SUV couldn't follow. As they raced through fields, Sophie felt a rush of adrenaline. They had almost evaded him, but Vincenzo wasn't done. He found their location and decided to capture Sophie himself. In a final confrontation, Sophie and Alex found a car and fled the villa. But Vincenzo was relentless, chasing them in a heavy SUV. A thrilling chase unfolded on the empty roads, filled with heart-pounding moments. Just when they thought they had escaped, Vincenzo suddenly blocked their path. With no options left, Sophie had to face him. She used her intelligence to trick him into a trap, leading to his arrest by the police that Alex had called. As the chase came to an end, Sophie and Alex sighed in relief. Sophie knew her life would never be the same. But she had become stronger, and that made her feel freer than ever. After escaping captivity, Sophie decided to use her experience to write a groundbreaking article that exposed the Mafia gang's crimes and the horrors that Vincenzo had inflicted. She was no longer just a journalist, she had become a symbol of resilience and courage, a woman unafraid to confront criminals. Her story was not just a survival tale but a journey in search of truth and justice, affirming the power of bravery and perseverance. Sophie and Alex became partners, working together to uncover crimes and bring justice to victims. They became inseparable, facing new challenges in life side by side. Their journey did not end there. Sophie continued writing eye-opening articles, while Alex engaged in community protection activities, helping those in need. They were not just survivors of criminal attacks, they were pioneers in the fight against injustice. Sophie discovered her strength through these challenges, and each article she wrote was a step forward in the battle against crime. She understood that her life would never be perfect, but it was these fights that made her stronger and more determined than ever. She would continue to fight for the truth, for justice, and for all those who had suffered in the hands of the criminal world. And every time she looked out the window, she remembered that on the edge of life, where truth and courage meet, was where she truly belonged.